Who's actually going to get value out of a 4-camera PTZ bundle? And who should just keep scrolling past it? If you're trying to decide whether a full-featured security system is worth the price for a typical home or small office, you're probably wrestling with the same questions. Will the cameras actually track a kid on the driveway? Will the night vision be reliable enough for a dim alley? And can I set it up without spending an entire weekend on YouTube tutorials? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last few weeks pulling apart a handful of PoE security kits, reading the forums where installers argue over firmware quirks, and watching a lot of real-world footage that people have posted online. The REOLINK 4X Trackmix bundle lands somewhere in the middle of that conversation. It's not the cheapest entry-level kit, but it's also not a professional-grade rig you'd find on a corporate campus. The sweet spot it aims for is the tech-savvy homeowner who wants more than a static dome camera, but isn't ready to hire an electrician or a security consultant. Let's start with the core of the system. 4K PTZ cameras that run over power over Ethernet. The fact that they're PoE means you only need one cable for data and power, which cuts down on clutter and makes the whole thing a bit easier to hide. In practice, that also means you'll need a PE-enabled switch or a small injector for each camera. If you already have a managed switch in your networking closet, you're set. Otherwise, you'll have to budget for an extra piece of hardware, which is something a lot of first-time buyers overlook. The auto-tracking feature is where the Trackmix name really tries to sell itself. When you enable human, vehicle, or pet detection, the camera will swivel, tilt, and zoom to keep the subject in frame. In my testing, the algorithm is decent for a household pet that darts across a living room, but it does occasionally lock onto a passing car and then spend a minute trying to follow a streetlight. If you live on a busy street, you might find the tracking a little jittery. That said, for a backyard that sees occasional activity, a child playing, a delivery person showing up, the auto-track does reduce the need to sit through hours of footage trying to find that one moment. Low-light performance is always a deal-breaker for security cameras, and REOLINK's 4K sensors handle it better than many 1080p rivals. The cameras use a 6 hybrid zoom that blends optical and digital elements, so you still get a clear image when the lens pulls back at night. The infrared LEDs kick in automatically, and the night vision feed stays surprisingly sharp up to about 30 feet. Beyond that, the picture softens, which is typical for a consumer-grade unit. If you need to monitor a larger property, you'll want to supplement with additional fixed cameras rather than rely solely on the PTZ's zoom. One practical strength that often gets glossed over in product sheets is the stability of the pan-tilt mechanism. I mounted one unit on a 12-foot pole, and after a few weeks of wind, the motor still returned to its exact calibrated position without any noticeable drift. That reliability is essential if you plan to set the cameras on exterior walls where wind gusts are common. The built-in 2 TB HDD in the NVR gives you roughly 30 days of continuous 4K recording at standard compression settings, which is plenty for most homeowners. The NVR's interface is web-based, and you can pull it up on a phone or tablet without downloading a separate app. The menu hierarchy is shallow enough that you can enable motion zones, set recording schedules, and adjust detection sensitivity in under 10 minutes. There are a few extra toggles that feel like leftovers from an enterprise version, things like advanced bitrate control, but you can ignore them without breaking anything. Now, who should actually buy this bundle? If you already have an Ethernet network wired throughout your property, or you're willing to run a few Cat6 cables to the points where you want coverage, this system is a solid step up from a basic indoor camera. It shines for families with kids who want to see who's at the front door, for small business owners who need to keep an eye on a storefront and a parking lot, and for hobbyists who enjoy fiddling with auto-tracking settings and tweaking detection zones. The inclusion of pet detection is a nice touch if you've got a dog that loves to dash through the yard at night. On the flip side, if you're a renter who can't run cables, or if you're looking for a fully wireless solution that you can stick on a shelf, you'll probably skip this one. The PoE requirement means you'll have to drill holes or use surface mount brackets, and that can be a deterrent for anyone who isn't comfortable with a bit of DIY. Also, if your budget tops out at under $300 for a security setup, you'll find cheaper 1080p kits that still give you motion.